We have a 2016 pickup truck with the infamous check engine light, and we have no idea what's going on. So why don't you join us on Tech Garage today as we scan it, diagnose it, and repair this Ram. Well, welcome to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Well, we got our pickup truck in the shop, got the code, and it's actually an active grill shutter code. We've never even had that here at Tech Garage, so this is going to be interesting. What we had to do is we had to kind of figure out where it was and what's going on. So what I did is I got this panel up here, the beautification panel. There's some clips here. I got a little clip tool, got it up under there, popped them up. Once I had them all up, just as easy as moving that and getting out of the way. Now back here, I can see it back here, but really don't have good access. I can see that it's plugged in. So I knew we were going to have to go a little bit further. So what I did, I went and got the big gun here. I got the big old scan tool, and this scan tool actually allowed me with some output tests to try to run that grill shutter down there, close it and open it. So I simply ran it, took a flashlight, looked down in there, and I didn't see it moving at all. Sometimes you can see some debris and things in there kind of hanging it up, but not the problem here. So we're going to have to take it a little bit further. Dave, I'm going to need a hand.
Yes, sir.
Dave, this is weird, man. It's an active grill shutter code, and we're going to have to take the grill off to do some further exploration.
Can do. Let's get it done.
Yep, couple of 10s, super easy. You got some 10s right across the top, and then there's some lock pins. So we'll take those off, and then we'll just go down there and give it a little yank. It should come right off.
All right.
All right.
This is kind of wacky because this is a code you wouldn't have even seen 10 years ago.
No, I mean, you wouldn't see it 10 years ago because it has to do with that CAFE, that corporate average fuel economy, and they're trying to raise the numbers. And these big pickup trucks, they're not very aerodynamic.
So what does a grill shutter do?
You know, it's going to open and close to help with the aerodynamics and, you know, a couple other things too. I was talking to some engineers. They were talking about maybe getting the engine up to operating temperature quicker for emissions reasons.
Because it runs too rich before it gets warmed up.
Exactly,
Gotcha.
Exactly, Rich. So here's two more here. Let's get these off, and then we'll show everybody down there. You got one on the end there?
Yep.
All right. Fantastic.
That's all of them?
That's it. Now all you have to do, kind of put your fingers in here, be gentle and pull kind of out. You'll feel it pop. There it goes.
Easy.
Just that easy. Yep. Let me be careful. Now be careful with your grill. Set it somewhere where you're not going to damage it or run into any problem. Plastic pieces are not cheap.
Usually when we see one of these, you got a broken fin or something like that, and it looks like everything's good here. Or sometimes these come popped out from the back, and it'll hang shut or it'll hang open, and that you'll have big problems. But it doesn't look like we have that at all.
Man, you should have come in here earlier. I didn't even know what it was. Pretty cool. No, yeah, absolutely. These things here, they actually look like they're intact. They're not flopping around. I know that's a problem. We're going to have to get to that connector back here. So there's a couple of 15s right here, Dave. I think we'll go ahead and pull those. Just switch over to that. We'll get that pulled out.
All right.
And then down below, there's some 10s, I believe, holding that thing in way down there low.
All right.
So let's get these two pulled out right here, and then we'll go from there. Kind of leads me to believe we got an electrical problem or something's happening. We're going to have to check voltage. We're going to have to check power and ground down there, just due to the fact that it's not moving at all. And the code kind of indicates. Sometimes it won't set a code when things are hung up in there, and that's not our problem.
I know you don't get these very much, but what kind of things can go bad if the shutter goes bad?
Well, that's a good point. I mean, you know, if it's closed when it's not supposed to be closed, we could create an overheating problem. Or actually have the air conditioning condenser right here. So we want airflow across that. So we're going to close it at some predetermined times, Dave. I mean, it's real simple.
Cool.
We got two down there. What we'll do is, Dave, we'll pull those off. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll you know what we'll do? We'll take a look at it on the table. That's going to be really cool. I'll show you some of those things we talked about, along with why we actually have one. Talk about open, rich conditions. You don't want to miss it. We'll be back with more Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com.
Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com, is brought to you by Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever. Clamp Tight, the clamp making tool. And by RockAuto.com, all the parts your car will ever need.
Welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Now we're suspecting our grill shutter's not operating at all, but you may have this condition. Sometimes debris or road debris gets in there and knocks one of these little fins off. This thing pops up right here. You may be able to just come down here, line them back up, and pop it right back in, and then you're good to go. Make sure it's running, make sure it's working, make sure your code goes away. Now, all about that grill shutter. Manufacturers today are trying to get their cars super efficient. How do they do that? Well, it's all about that command corrects condition, CCC. Down here we have an engine computer, an ECM, and over here we have an actual oxygen sensor. So they're going to work together, and what's going to happen is the car is going to be super efficient. Well, if I have a lot of condition down here, which is a rich condition, that means there's a ton of fuel, then the computer is going to command this injector right here to shut off. Go lean, that's the command. Rich condition, go lean. Vice versa, I'm down here and I'm super lean. I don't have a lot of gas, I have a lot of air in the exhaust. Computer says, hey, go rich. He opens up the pulse width modulation, we put more fuel in there, make it a long short of it, we're running nice and efficient. You can look at the graphic right here, it's pretty cool. It all starts at the engine. Then it goes over to the oxygen sensor, which is the condition, gets fed back to the computer, and then from the computer it goes up to the injector. Super simple. Another way they do it, the coolant system. They're going to heat it up really, really fast and try to get the engine hot because of a term called open or closed loop. Open loops, when you start your car, it's going to run very rich, and it's going to run rich for a while because we want it to run rich. We want to get it in gear and go, no hesitations. Now, we want to get into closed loop, which is predetermined numbers when we start using that oxygen sensor and computer together. Open loop is just predetermined numbers, boom, rich. All right, so we want to get it to closed loop. We can do it with electronic thermostats. We can get the engine hot. Now, even better yet, we went to what's called heated oxygen sensors. This is pretty cool because it takes 600 degrees Fahrenheit for these things to work. So you see this one right here? This is a 2-wire sensor. Now, a 2-wire sensor is an old school sensor. There's no heater circuit. If you have a 4-wire sensor like this one right here, that means you have a heater circuit. We'll take a look at this graphic. It's a totally different circuit, and it simply just gets it hot, and it gets it hot quick. Why? So it starts operating quicker, and the car's more efficient. Speaking of efficient, well, Dave and Josh are knocking it out over there. They are super efficient. Let's check in with them.
Well, we did just as John suggested. We ran the active test, wasn't working. And we know from earlier that the fins are intact. Everything looks good there. We checked for debris. There's no debris in there, Josh. So what do we do now?
That leaves us one last test. Let's make sure everything from the grill shutter back is operational. The way we do that, let's just check voltage.
Okay.
So first thing, yeah, if you can go ahead and unplug the connector back there, it'll be a little bit easier for you. All right.
Yep.
Let's go ahead. I'll set this aside.
All right.
Now, next thing we need to do, you got your connector here. Second pin and fourth pin, we're going to test for voltage at the second pin and our ground on the fourth pin. So if we have a voltage on our DVOM, that shows we have good voltage, good ground. So that leaves one thing that could be wrong.
That is the grill shutter itself.
Absolutely.
And we have one on hand just in case this happens. It's always good to be prepared. Got this one from RockAuto.com. Looks just like the original, and we'll throw it on here. And
awesome. It
plug
even
her
has
in.
the stuff on the back where you route the wires. Perfect. And we're going to snap this in. Awesome. I have Trip inside the vehicle. We're going to crank the truck up. Go ahead, Trip. Now what we have, we're going to operate the active grill shutter test just like John did earlier.
Okay.
Right here on the scan tool.
All right, it's closing.
Is it closing?
Yep, love it. Well, everything's looking really good, so all you have to do is install this and zip everything back up. We're good to go.
Perfect. Let's do it.
I love it. Well, stay tuned. Got lots more for you. Got a really hot topic next. We're going to boil some brake fluid right here on Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Thank you for tuning in to Tech Garage. We hope you're enjoying the show because we have a great time making it. You can see some really fun behind-the-scenes stuff on our Facebook page every single week. And if you've missed an episode from this season or any other, head on over to the Masters Entertainment Group website or YouTube page to get caught up. Keep it in park because Tech Garage returns right after this.
Welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Well, it's Garage Ed time, and boy, we got a good one for you today. We actually got a science experiment going on. It's all about the brake fluid. I actually fired these things up a little bit earlier. I got them boiling, so I hope it works again. I want to fire them up for you. Let me get my lighter. What are you doing with my lighter?
John, I was watching an episode from a couple of years ago, and you guys showed how to make a wiring harness using shrink tubing and putting it all together that way. I think it's pretty cool.
Dave, that's impressive, but you know what? It's not electrical. Let's
Dude.
take the brakes. I know. I need the lighter.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and fire this up. We're going to get this going. Hopefully, by the end of our little demo, we'll be able to prove to you what brake fluid's all about.
I love it. And brake fluid is hygroscopic, which means it absorbs water, and that lowers the boiling point of the brake fluid, and that's not a good thing. And that is why there are different types of brake fluids.
And absolutely, that gives us a perfect opportunity to look at brake fluid. First and foremost, look at your manufacturer's service manual, but it does come in all types and sizes. This is .3, .4, .5, and .5.1. Well, what does that all mean? Well, you can look at this chart here. The higher the number, the higher the boiling point. That's wonderful. If you have a car that carries .3 and you can put .4 in it, you can supersede the number to a higher boiling point. But be careful. .3, .4, and .5.1 are all glycol based. .5 is silicone based. They don't mix. So really, if you have a military vehicle, a motorcycle, or something that calls specifically for .5, just use .5. Other than that, you can use these ones as long as it's a higher number, but your best bet's always to look at your manufacturer service manual. But you know, brake fluid's awesome, but Dave, you know how to test it. That's even cooler.
Yeah, there's three pretty cool ways to do it. Now, this is just a brake fluid tester you can pick up, and you activate it, drop it into the brake fluid, and you can see that ours right here is indicating in the red.
Not good.
Which means, yeah, the moisture content's awfully high, and we at least need a flush of the fluid in our brakes. I like this one. This is kind of neat. It reminds me of a kaleidoscope. When you're a kid, you can take a drop of the brake fluid and put it on this refractometer right on the lens there, and you close this, hold it up to the light, just like your kaleidoscope, and it can indicate the amount of moisture that is in the brake fluid. And this thing's not even registering for glycol, which means we're pretty much all water in this case. And again, you need a brake job. And this one's a little more simple. This is some test strips you can pick up, and we're going to drop this into our brake fluid, swish it around just a little bit. When you pull it out, you can see it's starting to change a little bit already. You look up the scale and see how much moisture is in your brake fluid versus glycol, and it's starting to turn already. I suspect it's going to get darker, as we've seen from the other examples, and when it gets into that pink, you know it is time to change your brake fluid.
Yeah, and it's important to flush your brake fluid. People don't think of that as a maintenance item. You get a condition called brake fade. What happens is it boils, like ours is boiling here. We'll get to this in a second. And then the pedal, air's compressible and liquid's not. So you start getting that spongy pedal. So Dave, that's an incredible test, but flushing your brake fluid, that's a maintenance item as well. But I'll tell you what, I blinded you with science, didn't I?
Science!
Woo, take a look at this. So this one's actually .3 and this one's .5.1. Now, it's not a control, we're not rocket scientists, but we've been boiling it for a little while, and you can see this one's going crazy. The .3, this one's been sitting open for a while. We got a lot of water content in it. Here's my .5.1, man, you can see it kind of swirling, but it's not even close to boiling. Pretty cool demo.
It's really cool, and it shows how important brake fluid really is in your car. It's a safety issue, and obviously it's something you want to check pretty frequently.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, Dave, successful brake segment.
Well, it's science, and I hope you liked it as much as I did. And it's something you're really going to like coming up next. We've got a few tech tips for you, so stay tuned to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. This Tech Garage tidbit includes some pretty mind-blowing numbers. China is the world's largest producer of automobiles. They made a whopping 26 million cars and trucks in 2019 alone. The United States is second, but a distant second. The U.S. turned out 11 million vehicles in 2019. Japan wasn't far behind with 9.7 million, and it was almost a photo finish between the third and fourth place countries on our list. Germany and India produced about 4.5 million cars apiece. Whether you're driving an American Ford Mustang or a Maruti Ertiga from India, chances are we've got some cool tech you'll appreciate coming up next.
Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com, is brought to you by Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977. NH Oil Undercoating, the official oil-based rust prevention system. And by RockAuto.com, all the parts your car will ever need.
Welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Settle in because it's one of our favorite segments, the Master Tech Tip. And you know what? If you have a tech tip you want to share, just go to our social media and post it there with that hashtag MTTT. We'll take a look at your tech tip as well. This one's all about new technology, man. We love new technology here at Tech Garage, and I want to start out with this cool engine that has a lot of new technology. And let's start with direct injection. A lot of this stuff's been around a while, but it's pretty cool how it works. Direct injection is right here. There's a pump right here that actually drives in an actual elliptical right here that's going to pump it, and you can follow it down. You can see the steel fuel lines going down here. Now, diesel's done that for years, but gasoline engines are starting to do it. Also, direct injection right down into the cylinder, man. Perfect atomization, super high pressures. Tech tip, don't mess with that system until you either follow the manufacturer's specification or you wait a given time to where it actually starts to depressurize. But that could be very dangerous. You're talking about a laser cutter there with liquid, that's gasoline. So don't mess with that unless you're looking at the service manual. Another one right here, this is pretty cool. Variable valve timing. What's variable valve timing? Well, we've seen it before on Tech Garage, but it's pretty cool. Watch this. So you got a camshaft in here with this phaser. And what happens is oil injects in this phaser and it actually moves the camshaft to the right or to the left. Why would I want to move the camshaft? Well, I can get that optimal timing all the time as I'm going down the road. And I can show it to you on this motor right here. If I pop this cover off, you can see the actual phaser right here. And what happens is oil injects into this through the center cover and it moves it. Another tech tip for you. I said oil injects into it. So I'm going to pull this out here. And if you look real closely right here, you can actually see these tight screens right here. Tiny little screens that has to filter the oil because it's not going to move unless the oil is clean and you have the correct oil. So it's important to make sure you have oil changes with all this new technology. And just as important is make sure you use the right oil. A lot of cars today are calling for this 0W20. I know it sounds weird, but 0W20's an oil that's basically formulated for a lot of this new technology, so this stuff can work. Now we'll take it one step further. Talk about new technology. This is phenomenal. You saw the actual variable valve timing. We can move the camshaft. Well, this motor can vary the lift as well. How does it do that? Well, it's got a variable lift motor right here. And our chief tech, Josh, he was kind enough to wire it up right here so we can run it. You can see it in action. So here's what's going on. Watch these camshafts right here, and then this fulcrum. When I push this button, this fulcrum's gonna move. So check this out. And what's happening when it does that, you're actually varying the lift. The valve's opening further. Now, why do you want to do that? Well, an engine kind of acts like a human. If you're running real fast, so it's actually gasping for air. The valve's going to open further and allow more air-fuel charge in it, bigger bang. Now, we don't need to do that at an idle, so we can have the valve not open so far, and then guess what? You don't get as much charge in there, but it runs optimal, either at low speeds or high speeds. So not only did we take VVT, variable valve timing, we moved the camshaft, we take VVL, variable valve lift, and we changed the lift of the camshaft, and man, we got the performance second to none. That's new technologies. Oil's critical, and also changing the oil's critical. Now, on our continuous variable transmission, this is cool. They've been using these for years, but here at Tech Garage, we've been seeing a lot of them not doing very well. And the reason is the wrong fluid. We can't stress this enough. Another tech tip for you. Continuous variable transmission fluid. Either look on Rock Auto or go to your manufacturer's specification. You cannot just throw any fluid in these things. It has to be the proper fluid. Once you get that in there, you're going to be good. I remember the old days we would just put thicker oil in, or we would put transmission fluid in the power steering pumps. You can't do that anymore. This new technology, man, it takes the optimal fluid because it's the optimal technology. Then there's the electric vehicle. Man, we went all the way from new technology to electric. Speaking of electric, boy, Dave's electrifying, and so is Tom. Let's check in with them.
Well, John, technology is changing all the time on cars today. And Tom, that's a huge job for you. How do you guys at RockAuto.com keep up with that?
Our part manufacturers are always watching what's breaking, what's failing. Like the grill louvers, the grill shutters are getting to be 10, 15 years old on some models, so they're being damaged by road debris just over time wearing out, all those little louvers. So yeah, they manufacture replacement parts, often better than the originals, and we stock them.
Now, I would think a part like this would be something that's dealer only, but you guys actually have it in stock.
Yeah, we have the complex assemblies, the computers, the little black boxes. We often have the original brands that the manufacturer used.
Oh, that's really cool. And when you're talking brands, of course, you have your Chrysler here. If you want to stay true to your brand, you guys can also cover emblems for my vehicle.
Yeah, we have emblems, bodywork type emblems stick on the outside. You know, Hemi if you got a Chrysler. Even back to the old 60s cars, we'll have replacement door sills and emblems to do restoration work.
Well, if you have a classic car, if you have a brand new car, whatever it is, your project starts and ends with RockAuto.com.
Well, another win here at Tech Garage. We got to see some new technologies on our Master Tech Tip and on our new Dodge pickup truck.
Yeah, that grill shutter looks great. It was easy to diagnose, easy to change out, and it solved a big problem.
It did, you know, and then all you did is clear the codes, took it on a test drive, come back, make sure it's working. It's working great, man. This truck is fixed, Dave.
I love it, and that is a good way to cap off the show because we're out of time, John.
We sure are. You know, we want you to join us next week, though, right here from Tech Garage Luxurious Studios at Chipola College, presented by RockAuto.com.
See ya.
Production assistance for Tech Garage is provided by Chipola College, located in Marianna, Florida. Founded in 1947, Chipola was ranked recently as one of the top 3 community colleges in the United States.